Welcome to this EndNote 21 Essentials workshop. My name is Rosalind and joining me today is my colleague Sheila, and we'll be taking you through how to get up and running with EndNote 21 desktop software. This session is being recorded and it will be made available to everybody that has registered for the session, the recording. If you have any questions as we're going through, please feel free to pop them into the chat. If you're not sure where the chat is, just down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a purple tab, and if you expand that, there you'll see a speech bubble. And if you click on that, you can put your questions in there. We'll try and monitor the chat and answer any questions as we go along. But just to note that we can't do sort of individual troubleshooting of issues. So if you want to ask questions about what I'm showing, that's fine, but we may not be able to troubleshoot issues that you might have with your computer. I'd like to acknowledge that today we're meeting on the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people, or at least Sheila and I are, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past and present as custodians and owners of these lands. The EndNote desktop software is available for Curtin staff and students that are based within Australia to download to a personal computer. You can access the download by going to the My Library tab in Student Oasis, or if you're a staff member, by selecting the My Campus menu and Library Services in the staff portal. You may be wondering, well, what is EndNote? What does it do? EndNote is a software that allows you to collect, organize, and store references in a single place, and then use those references to create in-text citations and reference list entries in a specific referencing style in Word. It's a very useful software, particularly if you're going to be dealing with large numbers of references and you're doing your research. Today I'll be covering the following things. So I'll be first showing you how to create an EndNote library, which is where you will store all your references. How to add references to that library, how to select a referencing style and preview your references, how to add attachments to your references, and organize your references into groups. I'll then be showing you how you can work with Microsoft Word and giving you some information about saving your library and using library syncing, and where you can get help with EndNote. We do have, just going to share my screen. So we do have an EndNote guide available, which goes through all of the points that I'll be covering today. So if you go away and you can't quite remember something that I've said, then you can sort of go to the guide and find that information there. If you go to the library website, so www.curtin.edu.au/library, or you can just Google Curtin Library and it should come up. If you scroll down on the library website, there's in the middle section, you've got some different tiles, and one of those is Uni Skills. So this takes you to our Uni Skills modules that go through a whole range of different skills. And under Digital, we have the EndNote Essentials guide. So as I said, this goes through all of the points that I'll be showing you today. There's also some videos and extra information to help you out as well. And I'll be pointing out a few things that are really useful in the guide as we go along. Okay, so I'm going to start by opening EndNote. When you first install EndNote on your computer, when you open it, you'll be prompted to set up a library. So the library is the file where you're going to save the references that you collect as you're doing your research. So I'm going to create a new library. If you are on a Mac, you may get this message coming up, which is fine, but you may also not get that message coming up. You may get a toolbar appearing across the top of your screen, an EndNote toolbar, and you just need to do File and New, and then you'll be able to create the library. So if you don't see this when you open it and you're on a Mac, just have a look, because it may be a toolbar across the top of your screen, and you have to select File and New to create the library. So I'm going to click on Create a New Library. By default, the file name will be my EndNote library, so I can keep it as that, or I can change it if I want. I'm not keeping this library, it's just a sample one for today. So I've just added sample there. When you go to actually save your library, it's important that you save it onto your actual computer, so into your documents file or your C drive, somewhere that's actually on your computer. If you save it to a cloud syncing folder like OneDrive or Google Docs or something like that, your library can become corrupted over time, and it doesn't really work as well as it should. So always, if you can, save it to somewhere that's located on your actual computer. And I'm just going to do it onto my desktop and do save. And that will create my EndNote library. I'll just quickly show you, when you do create your library, I'm just going to find, there we go. So when you do create your library, it creates two things. So it will create this library, which is the .enl extension. Enl just means EndNote library, but it also creates a folder, which is a .data folder. It's important that these two stay together with the same name, and they're located, so they're located in the same place, because you do need your data file to, because it has the data for your EndNote library. So if you delete your data file, that's the data gone, and you won't be able to use your EndNote library. So just keep that in mind. We have in the past had people just go, I don't know what this file is, delete, and then they've basically lost their library. So just make sure that these two stay together in the same location and with the same name. Back here. Once you create your library, then you'll see the full program open here. One thing we do recommend as well is just try and stick with one EndNote library. You do have the ability to create multiple EndNote libraries, but it can become a bit difficult to work with if you've got multiple libraries. You don't know which one you're using. It gets confusing when you're trying to use Word. Try and stick with one library. I'll be showing you how you can organize your references, so you don't really need more than one library. Okay. So once you've opened the full library, you might see something a little bit different. So you may not see this right-hand panel in the first instance, but just on the left-hand side, you've got your groups panel. So this is where you have your all references, and you have some pre-specified groups. And there's the ability also to create groups, which we'll talk about soon. And the middle section, once you start adding references, this is where you'll see all the references in your library. And the right-hand panel, this is called the tabs panel. And once we add some references, you'll see how this works and what functionality it has available. Okay, so I'm going to show you first how to add references to your library. There's a few ways that you can add references to your library. The first way that I'm going to show you is by manual entry. So this is you putting the information in yourself. So to do that, I just need to click here. In the middle panel, there's a little clipboard icon with a plus sign in it. And if I click on that, it will open a form that I can fill in to create the reference. I can also go to References and New Reference in the top menu up here to open that same form. I'm just going to click that. And this has brought up a form with different fields that I can fill in. By default, the reference type that is selected will be journal article here. But if you do the drop down sort of arrow, you'll get a whole list of other types of reference types that you can select from. For example, my first one I'm going to do a reference of book. So I've just changed that to the book reference type. And when I do that, the fields change. So they'll change according to the information that I'll likely need to include for that reference. So I've got some information here already, so you don't have to watch me typing in. The first part of this that I'll just talk about is the author field. There's a few things to note for the author field. The first is you'll notice here that I've put the authors in a specific way. So the EndNote sort of people recommend putting them in the format of last name, a comma, and then their first name or initials when you're entering them into the author field. You can also do it as first name, last name, but that's just the way that the EndNote people suggest doing it. Okay. If you've got more than one author, so multiple authors, each author needs to go onto a new line. If you put them all onto the same line, EndNote will think that it is one person and your reference will come out looking very odd. So just make sure every time you have a new author, you do enter and put them onto a new line. It's also important that you do the correct capitalization for the names when you're entering them in the author field. So, for example, this one, I've got a capital A for their first name and a capital E for their first name and a capital A for their last name. So make sure you do that correct capitalization, because it's set to actually display as it's been entered. So if you put the whole name in lowercase letters, that's how it's going to appear in the reference, and that may not be correct for your style. So just to note that as well. I'm going to quickly fill in the other information that I have for this reference. Oops, that didn't work. Oops, there we go. There we go. Another field that you may need to be careful of as well is the title field. So if you are, it's good to put in the correct capitalization here as well, just to make sure that it is, that's how it comes across. It depends a little bit on the style that you are going to use. If you're doing APA, the style is set up to display the titles as they've been entered. So you may need to alter the capitalization so it matches that. If you're using something like Chicago, which uses headline capitalization, that is actually written into the style. So you won't need, so whichever way you sort of put it in, it will still be in headline capitalization. And I'll just quickly finish putting in that information. And the publisher there. There are quite a few fields that come up in the record, but you don't need to fill out all of the fields. You just need to fill out the ones that are required to create the reference in your style. Once you've entered all of that information that you need, you can then save the reference. So I got a save button just here, and this will add it to the EndNote, my EndNote library. I can close out of the form now, and when I come back here, you can see that I now have the reference appearing here, and if I double click on that reference, it will actually open up this tabs panel. Yours might look a little bit different, but if you don't see the tabs panel, once you've added this, just double click and it should open. So the first tab we have here is the summary tab. This just has a summary of the information for the reference. And down the bottom, you'll see there's another panel that you can expand. And if I do that, this will show you a preview of the reference in the style that has been selected. This is the default style, and I'm going to show you in a minute how you can change that style to another like APA or Chicago, etc. The next tab that we have here is the edit tab. So if I need to go back and make changes to the reference, I can do it in this edit tab. And there's also a PDF tab, which I'll show you soon. Okay. I'm going to show you one other manual reference. So again, I'm just going to open a new form. And this time I'm going to reference a web page. So I'll just change my reference type here to a web page. Now this one has a corporate author or an organisation as the author here. So the Australian Trade and Investment Commission. It's important if you are including a corporate author, an organisation, a government author, that you do put a comma at the end of the name. So Australian Trade and Investment Commission, comma. If you leave this without the comma, EndNote won't know that it is an organisation. It will think that it is actually a person, and you'll get a funny looking reference. So it'll probably do commission, comma, A.T.A.I, because it thinks that it's a person and it needs to invert the last name. But because we want the full name to display, we just need to put the comma at the end, so EndNote knows that it is it is an organisation that needs the full name displayed. I'll just fill in all the other information that I need for the reference. Oops, that's the wrong one. I want the title. Not doing it very well. There we go. And the URL. So the URL field's a bit further down in the form. And like I did with the other one, I can just save that and close, and it will add that to my library here, and I'll be able to see it here. I'm just going to quickly pop back to the EndNote Essentials guide. On the Add and Organize References page, there's a section for manual entry. This gives you information about the types of materials that you might have to do a manual entry for. There is a video that demonstrates how to do what I've just shown you. And there's some instructions here about populating the author field. But something that we do have as well is reference types to select and fields to populate, so table. I'll show you in a minute how you can select the Curtin styles. So we have Curtin styles for APA, Chicago and Vancouver. But this just gives you an overview of what reference type to select and which fields you need to enter information into when you're manually creating references. So for a book, you use the book reference type, and these are the fields that you would normally fill in. There's also some other notes where you might need to put in something a bit different. So if you're ever adding a reference manually and you're not sure what reference type or what fields you need to put the information into, just come here because it will show you which fields are set up, etc. So now that I've added a few references to my library, I can select a referencing style to display those references in. Just down the bottom here where you've got the preview pane, there is this drop-down menu, and by default when you first install EndNote, the annotated style will be selected. If I click on that, it brings up a short menu which has some different referencing styles available. These are ones that come with EndNote, so they may not be, may not match sort of the official guides, and it's usually better if you can, if you're using APA Chicago or Vancouver, to use the Curtin versions of those styles, because they have been sort of altered so they match what's in our referencing guides. I can select those by going to select another style. And this will bring up a larger list of referencing styles that are available with the program. So I'll just scroll down a bit here, and you can see there's an APA 7th Curtin style. So the Curtin styles will have Curtin in the name. And I can just do highlight that and do choose, and then it's going to display my reference in that particular style. Once I add the reference from that selected, the referencing style from that select another style menu, it'll appear in this shorter menu, and you can just quickly go and access it from there. I'll also select maybe the Chicago style. There are a few different versions of the Chicago style, but the current one that you want to use is the Chicago 17th author date Curtin style. If you've been asked to use Chicago 17th B, that is the style that you need to select, Chicago 17th author date Curtin. I'll choose that one, and it's changed it into that, and is displaying the reference in the Chicago author date style. And I'll just do Vancouver as well. So Vancouver is another one, it's a medical style, and you can see now that I've added those from the larger list, they'll appear in this menu here, and I can select them. If so the styles, the Curtin versions of the styles should be available and included when you download the program. So they should be available from that select another style menu. If they aren't, you can get them as well from the select a style page in the EndNote guide. The styles are also available there to download. So I've just shown you how to add references manually, and we've selected our referencing style. I'm going to show you now how you can add references using direct export from a database. Hopefully you won't have to do too many references manually. Most of our databases allow you to send the information to create the reference from the database into EndNote, and they sort of create the references for you. I'm going to go just back to the library website and just scroll down past the library search to this section. We looked at the uni skills, which is where the EndNote Essentials guide is, but the tab next to that is databases. And this is our list of our A to Z list of the databases that the library has access to. I'm going to show you a few different databases today. The first one I'll be showing you is ProQuest. But as I said, many of our databases do let you send the information to EndNote. So when you are in the database, just keep an eye out for things like send to citation manager, export citations, export, download citations. Terminology like that usually means that the database will let you send the information to EndNote. If you're unsure when you're in the database, have a look at the help menu, because this will show you, this will tell you if it's possible to do it and how you can do it. I'm going to go to ProQuest though. And I'm just going to do a quick search on my topic, so community-based tourism, and just going to limit this to peer-reviewed, so we're getting some articles, and I'm going to run a search. So I've come back with quite a large number of articles, which if you search in ProQuest tends to happen. But what I can do is just quickly scroll through and see, oh yeah, there's some articles that look good. They look like ones I might want to use for my search. And I'm just going to tick the box that appears next to the article. So I'll tick a few here. Yeah, got some good ones coming up. So I've just selected some articles that I want to, where I want to send the information into EndNote. In ProQuest, the export option is a little bit hidden. It's not very clear that what it means, but just at the top of the results list, you'll see these little icons. And one of the icons is a circle with three dots in it. And when you hover over that, it says all save and export options. So click on that. And under the citation export section, you can see there is an EndNote option here. Not all databases will have a specific EndNote option. So if you don't see EndNote, you can use the RIS option because RIS is the format that EndNote uses. I'll click on EndNote. And this will come up and with a box, I'm just going to say continue. And this should create a download file that I can add into EndNote. So here I've got a download file, and if I click open file, it's going to send the information into EndNote. If you're on a Mac, you may need to go to your downloads folder, find the file, and then drag and drop it onto the EndNote icon on your dock to add it to your EndNote library. So I'm just going to open the file. And eventually it will import those references there. So here, move this over, you can see those references. When you do export references, they'll come into a temporary folder called imported references, which is here. And if I import more references into my library, they will overwrite the ones that are here. But if you go to your all references folder at the top, that will have all of those references there. You can see I've also got the manual entry ones that I've added before as well. Okay. So very quick and easy, and hopefully you can, when you're searching in the databases, just send the information over rather than having to create it all yourself. I'm going to show you another database. Just back on the databases page, I'm just going to go to the Science Direct database. This is another useful database that has a lot of very useful content. I'm just again going to do another very quick search on my topic so I can get some results coming up. And here I've come up with my results. So similar to ProQuest, I can tick the boxes next to the articles that I want to send the information over into EndNote. So I'll do a few here. There we go. And at the top of the results list, you'll see a button that says Export. And as I mentioned, not all databases will have a specific EndNote option. This one doesn't, but there is an RIS option, so Export Citation to RIS, which is the EndNote format. This creates that download file, and if I open the file, it's going to add the citations into the library. And just if you're on a Mac, it may go into your downloads folder, and you just need to drag and drop the download file onto the EndNote icon on your dock. And so I'm just going to do open file, and it's added those references in there, which is great. So now I'm building up quite a lot of references in my library. There are some things to note though when you do export the information over from the database. It's always good to have a quick check of the references to make sure that they are matching up with what is required for your style. There isn't any missing information, etc., because you may need to actually make some changes, some edits to ensure that they're accurate and they match up with your style. You can get marked down if you don't go through and sort of check your references and the information has come over incorrectly or it's missing information. A few things to be aware of when you're having a look at your references is firstly, I'll just show you an example here. So in the APA style and the Chicago style, you should include a DOI in the reference. So the DOI is just a unique code that helps people find the article in an online environment. So the DOI is here where it starts with the number 10. And APA and Chicago require that you have a resolved DOI, which means you include https://doi.org/ before the DOI to create a link to that resource. However, the HTTP string is actually written into the style, but some databases also include it when they export the information over into EndNote. So here you can see that it's actually been duplicated, and we don't want that. We only want the HTTP string to appear once. So I'm going to go to the Edit tab, scroll down to the DOI field and click into it, and just use the arrow keys on my keyboard to go to the number 10. So I want the field to start with the number 10, and I'm just going to backspace and take out everything before that. So now the DOI field is starting with that number 10. I'm going to save, and when I go back to the summary tab and to my preview, now the DOI, the resolved DOI is displaying correctly. Okay, so that happens with some databases, so you will need to go and check and make sure that you don't have that duplicated DOI statement. Something else that you may come across is the reference may have incorrect capitalization that's required for the style. So the APA style uses sentence capitalization. This means the first letter of the first word, the first letter of a subtitle, and any proper names and abbreviations will start with a capital letter, but the rest should be in lowercase. So here, this is something that will commonly happen where the title will come over with each significant word starting with a capital letter. So this is something as well that I'll need to edit. So I can just click in there and change the capitalization myself, or I can highlight it, go to the edit menu and change case, and I can click sentence case to quickly change that to sentence style capitalization, which I need for APA. You have to be a little bit careful when you're doing that though, because EndNote won't know if there's a proper name that should be capitalized. So just be careful when you're highlighting that you don't highlight the whole thing and change it to sentence case when it includes like a name or a place name or something like that. And now that's displaying correctly there. If I was using Chicago, the Chicago author date style, it will automatically put in that headline capitalization, which is different to APA. So it'll automatically do that, and I won't need to worry about changing the title. One other thing that you may need to be careful of, particularly from, this is more to do with ProQuest, references that have come from ProQuest, but here you can see because this article doesn't have a DOI, it substitutes a URL instead. But ProQuest, for some reason, puts two URLs into the information that comes over in the reference. So here you can see there's a nice short one, and then after that there's a second one that's this very long one that you don't really want in your reference list. So if you come across any like this, you'll need to edit them. I'm just going to go to the URL field. And I'm just going to delete that second link, okay? So I'll just highlight it, backspace, take out any extra spaces, and then I'm just left with this nice short link that will still go to the resource, but be a lot nicer in my reference list. So I'm going to save that, and when I go back to my summary now, it's looking a lot better. Okay, so those are just a few things that you need to be aware of. Make sure that you check that the DOI HTTPS statement isn't duplicated. Check the capitalization and whether that is correct for the style. And also, if there's any instances where you have very long, horrible links from ProQuest, remove that second link and just go with that short one. It's always good as well just to have your referencing guide available somewhere so you can compare what EndNote's sort of output with the referencing guide, just to make sure it is doing what it should be, and you can sort of pick up any instances where you might need to edit the reference. Okay. So that's sort of the ways that you can add references into your library. So it's relatively quick and easy when you're using the direct export. One thing you may notice though when you do export the reference information over to EndNote is that it won't necessarily bring the full text article with it. A lot of the databases won't actually let you export the full article, the full PDF with the citation. But you can still add the PDFs to your references in EndNote. It's useful to do this just so you can manage all of your research in one place and you don't have sort of PDF saved everywhere all over your computer and then not be able to find what you need easily when you're doing your research. Having it all here helps simplify it and manage everything in one place. So I'm just going to quickly jump back to the database. So what I can do, if I just go to the PDF and download that onto my computer or save it, this is just going to go into my downloads. Okay. So I'll save that there. So I've just downloaded that PDF and I'm going to, in my library, select the reference that it relates to, so this one, and go to the PDF tab in the tabs panel, and there's a button that says Attach PDF. So I'll just select that from my downloads folder where it's saved to and open. And I'll click off that reference just to prompt it to save the changes, which I'll say yes to. And now if I click back on there and go to the PDF pane, I can see the PDF. I can pop it out so it's in a new window here. And then I've just got that PDF available and I can quickly go and access it when I need it. There's also some other things you can do. So just in the toolbar at the top of the PDF, there's a little speech bubble, I guess, icon. And if you click on that, you can actually add sort of sticky notes. So I can say, hey, use this for introduction or something like that. I can make notes about it. I can also highlight text. Maybe there's the particular point that I want to highlight here, so I can just select the highlight button and highlight that. So you can manage all of this in one place. You can do your notes in there, you can highlight it. It's just very useful to have everything together. If I close that, it'll prompt me to save, so I'm just going to say yes, and I've closed that window, but you'll notice that it does keep the highlighting and the notes there. Okay. So even though you may not send the information over, send the article over with the information, you can still add them into your library. There is something else that is useful. If I just go back to the EndNote Essentials guide, there's an Attach PDFs section, and I'll just click on that. And that just explains how to do that, attach your PDF and highlight and annotate it. There's also something called EndNote Click that you can use. So EndNote Click is a browser plugin, and when you're doing some searching just on the web and you come across articles that are available, you can actually save them into your it's called an EndNote Click locker, and from there you can actually send them into EndNote, and it will create the reference and attach the PDF. Okay, I'm not going to show you this today, but if you are interested, there's information in our guide. You do need to register for an EndNote Click account and make sure you select Curtin Uni as the institution when you do that. So one other thing I'm going to show you in EndNote before we jump into the fun bit, which is using Word, is how to organize your references using groups. I mentioned at the beginning, it's best to only have one EndNote library. When you have multiple libraries, EndNote tends to get confused. It's difficult to know which library you're using for what. When you're working with Word, it doesn't know where it's supposed to be taking its information from if you've got lots and lots of libraries. So it's best if you just stick with the one library. At the moment, I've only got 13 references in this library, so that's not a lot. So I can quickly go and find the references that I want. But if I add sort of more and more and more references as I do my research, it's going to become tricky to find the ones that I want quickly. My own personal EndNote library at the moment, I think, has about 900 references. So you can imagine if I was trying to scroll through all of the references, that would be a bit of a nightmare trying to find the ones that I want. So I can use the groups function to organize my references into groups so I can quickly access the ones that I need. Over on the left-hand panel, it's called the Groups panel, there's something that says My Groups here. And if I right-click on that, I can create a group, which I can save my references into. There's also something called a group set. So if you have a number of related groups, you can pull them together under a group set, so they're all sort of sitting together. So for example, if I did create a group set, I might do tourism because that's the topic that I'm looking at the moment. And so I'll just give it a name there. So I've got that group set. And then if I right-click on that group set, I can create groups underneath that. So community tourism maybe. Maybe I'm also looking at medical tourism, so I'll create another group for that. Indigenous. Or if you were doing a unit, maybe nursing 101 might be your group set, and then you'll have assignment 1, assignment 2 or something under as the groups. It's up to you, whatever you want to call it. Just whatever's going to be meaningful to you. Once I've added those, so I've created that group set, but I can then add to the groups the references from my library here. So if I go back to all references, and I can just highlight the reference and drag and drop it onto the group. Or I can right-click on a reference and do add references to, and it will come up with the different groups. So I can do add them that way as well. So I can add the same reference to as many groups as I like. Okay. Yes, and you can have like lots and lots of groups. I don't even know the number, but it's a lot of groups that you can create. I think my other library, I have like 50 or 60 groups. So you can see you can create a lot. But it's just a good way of organizing your references and making it easier so you can quickly go and access them. When you click on the group, if you do add a add a reference to the group and you want to remove it from that group, you can just highlight it, right click and remove references from group, and it will take it out of that group. But don't worry, it doesn't actually take it out of your library or delete it from your library. If you go back to your All References folder, it will be available there. Okay, so please remember, if you do have any questions, you can sort of pop them into the chat and we can try and answer them. I'm going to go on now and show you how to work with Word, which is, as I said, the fun bit of EndNote. So I'm going to open a Word document and I'm just going to save this quickly to my desktop. Okay. So I've got a document here. I'm just going to put in some random text. So I've got my assignment. When you install EndNote on your computer, it will also install in Word an EndNote toolbar. It's called the Cite While You Write toolbar, or CWYW. And this toolbar allows you to work with EndNote. Okay. If the toolbar isn't there when you install EndNote, there is instructions provided, and I'll show you a bit later where you can find that information, but there's instructions provided on the EndNote support site, and we also have some links on our troubleshooting page in the guide as well to help you fix that if it doesn't come across when you install the program. Okay. So I've got my assignment here. Make the document a little bit bigger. Is it going to do it? There we go. Oops. There's a few ways that I can add citations from EndNote into my Word document. Now, actually, I'll just quickly point out, when you do open the EndNote toolbar, the first time that you use it, just check that the style that is selected is the one that you want to use. So the one that you've got selected in EndNote, it may default to the annotated style. Okay? But you can just click on the menu if it's not the style that you want, and you can select the particular one that you're using. So there's a few ways I can add the citations into my document. The first way I'm going to show you is by going to EndNote and selecting them there. I've just put my cursor at the place in the text where I want my in-text citation to go, and I'm coming up to the toolbar and clicking on Go to EndNote. This snaps back to my EndNote library, and I can just select the reference that I want to put in at that point in my text, and just where the icons are in that All References panel here, next to that manual entry one is a quote mark icon. If I click on that, I just highlight the reference, click on that icon, and then it will add the in-text citation into my document. And if I scroll down, it's added the reference list entry at the end of my document as well. I'll show you that again. So you just put your cursor at the place in the text where you want your citation to go. You go to EndNote, highlight the reference that you want to put in at that point. I can also, if I'm in my library, highlight multiple references to insert in at a single point if I want to do that. I can just hold down my Shift key or my Control key, and yeah, maybe these ones are ones that I want to demonstrate a particular point. So I'm going to just highlight them and then insert. So the quote mark icon, and it's added those citations in and added the reference list entries as well. So very quick and easy, and you don't need to worry about things like how many authors there are, when do you have to use et al, because EndNote is going to do that for you for your style. Okay. Another way that you can add citations into your document. Again, I'm just going to click to put my cursor at the place in the text where I want my citation to go. I can go just up here to insert citation in the toolbar. And here I can search for keywords from the citation, or if I know who the author is, I can put the author in. So maybe just some keywords. I can then select the reference that I want to put in and do insert, and it will add that author in. There is a comment in the chat that you've got temporary citations. Yeah, so if you get citations that appear in sort of funny squiggly brackets with sort of a hash and a number, that means that your instant formatting has been turned off. So just up here, so my instant formatting is on, so it's formatting my in-text citations and my reference list in the APA style, because that's the style I have selected. But if that is turned off, it will give you temporary citations which have squiggly brackets, and you won't see your reference list. If you can either just turn the instant formatting on by clicking on that there, or you can do update citations and bibliography, and it should go through and format the citations and add your reference list back. And yeah, so you can see here, I've got my reference list starting at the end of the document. So you can either go to EndNote and select your references there, or you can do the insert citation and just search for some keywords or the author's name and select the references that way. You'll notice that the references, when I click on, or the citations, when I click on them, are highlighted in grey. This means that they are talking to an EndNote library. Okay. If I wanted to add, maybe I'm quoting. So for example, maybe this is a quote here that I'm using from this source. If I'm quoting and I need to provide a page number, I can't just click into the citation and add it here, because if I try to make any changes, it's just going to take them out because it will revert to the information that's coming from EndNote. So if you need to add, to make changes to your in-text citations, you need to go to the toolbar and select Edit and Manage Citations. This will bring up the citations that are available in your document, and you get some options to make changes. So for example, if I go to the pages field, I can add a page number in. Maybe this is page 7 or something like that. So I can just put that in the pages field and do OK. And this will add the page number in to my citation, and it will stay there. Okay, it's not going to take it out. So if you want to add page numbers in, just go to Edit and Manage Citations. Sorry about, oh no, sorry about that. Sorry, my screen dropped out. So I should be, there we go. So hopefully you can hear me again now. Okay, good. Sorry, my screen just dropped out for a second there. Okay, good. Another thing that you may come across is there may be instances, I might just quickly put in a citation here. So there may be instances where you actually include the author names as part of your sentence. You're doing sort of an author prominent citation. So maybe Ha and Lynn say this. But if you insert the citation, you don't actually want the author names within brackets. You want them outside of the brackets as part of the sentence. So you can just insert the citation, go to Edit and Manage Citations, and there's a formatting drop-down menu here. And if you click on that, you can change the way the information displays. So you could exclude the author or exclude the year, depending on what you've typed into your sentence. You can also display as author and then year in brackets. So I'll select that and do OK. And now the author's names are appearing outside of the brackets. If you want to remove a citation, it's best not to just highlight it and delete it because there's a lot of coding that goes on in the background, and it may sort of come back, or it may make your formatting go a bit funny in your documents. So it's best, if you want to remove a citation, to highlight it, go to Edit and Manage Citations, and then in the top section of the dialog box, there's select your citation, and then just click on the Edit Reference drop down, and you can remove the citation. And OK. And that will take that citation out and take the reference list entry out as well. It's just a safer way of removing the citations. The reference list, when you do, oops, something's, there we go. The reference list, when you do click on it as well, you will find that it is grayed out like the in-text citations when it's talking to your EndNote library. If you need to make changes to your reference list entries, you need to make them in EndNote, not in not in the Word document here. So for example, this Ha and Lian article has that duplicated DOI statement, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go back to EndNote and just select that reference. So that's not the one, that's the one I want. Select the reference, go to the Edit tab, scroll to the DOI field, and just take out that duplicated statement and say Save. And now when I go back into my Word document, I can just go to Update Citations and Bibliography in the toolbar. And when I do that, you'll notice that it's refreshed the information that's coming from EndNote and it's fixed that issue. So any changes that you need to make in your reference list entries, you need to go into EndNote and edit the reference there and update the citations and bibliography. Something else just that you'll notice with my references here is that I do have a label at the top that says references in bold above the reference list. You can actually set it up so it does do this automatically in your document. You can do this if you're on the Windows in the sort of bibliography section of the EndNote toolbar. There's a little arrow in the corner and it says Configure Bibliography. If you click on that, it will come up with some options for you. I think if it's on a Mac, the Configure Bibliography might be under the Tools menu, or it might be somewhere slightly separate. But just look for anything that says configure bibliography, and this will take you to the option. So there's a layout tab here, and you can change the font, the size of the text in your reference list. You can also, in the bibliography title field, add in what you would like the reference list to be called. So references, if it's APA. You can also change the format of the text, so it's the font, the size, if it's bold, etc. Here you can also change the line spacing. So if you, depending on your style, you may need to use double spacing for your reference list entries, and you can select that here and do OK, and it will format that. Sometimes if the document is talking to EndNote and you try and change the formatting just in using the Word options, sometimes it can go a bit funny. So if you use that configure bibliography and the layout, that's sort of an easy way of selecting those options and formatting your reference list. Okay, so once you've finished your Word document or your assignment, it's ready to submit. It's good to it's good to actually create a second copy of your document that isn't talking to your EndNote library. So this one is talking to EndNote because it's got that grey shading. But if you try and submit a Word document where the EndNote formatting is sort of active and it's trying to talk to your EndNote library, it can cause issues of Sorry about that. My screen dropped out again. It's not liking it. Cool, thanks. Yeah, so it's if you send your the document with the word the EndNote formatting active, it can cause issues on the other end. So a safer document to send is a plain text copy. So just up in the toolbar under Convert Citations and Bibliography, I think if you're on a Mac, it's under the Tools menu. There's an option to convert to plain text. This creates a second copy of your Word document that is not linked at all to EndNote. So here, this is document 2, and when I click into the citations, they're not graying out, which means that it's not talking to EndNote. So it's changed the options, the thing, so it's not using EndNote formatting. And when I click on my reference list, the same, it's not graying out. So this is the better copy to use when you're submitting your work. This one as well, you can make manual changes and it won't sort of revert to what is in EndNote. So if you wanted to add in a page number, for example, it's not going to take it out because that EndNote link has been broken. So always best to convert it to plain text when you're ready to submit and submit the plain text copy. You should, though, keep your original document with the EndNote formatting active. If you need to go back and make changes to your document, you can't reinstate the EndNote citations into in a plain text copy when you've converted it to a plain text copy. So just always keep your original EndNote one that's talking to EndNote in case you need to go back and make changes to the document. Just quickly. Okay. So I'm going to go back just to EndNote and just talk a little bit about saving your EndNote library. EndNote is different to programs like Word or PowerPoint or something where you have to continually save your documents as you're going along. So EndNote is actually automatically saving as you're working in your library. So each time you add references in, it's going to save those references for you. So it's not like Word or PowerPoint where you have to save your library when you exit out of the program. You can just exit out, it's already automatically saved. But it is useful to create a backup copy of your EndNote library. Just in case something goes wrong with your computer, for some reason it stops working. If you have your library saved onto the computer, you're going to lose your library. But it's good to have just a backup. You don't have to do it very often, just every now and then. Create a backup library that hopefully you'll never have to use, but it's there if you do need it. So on the File menu, when you click on that, you'll notice that there is some saving options here. So Save and Save As are grayed out because you don't need to save it. EndNote is already automatically saving your library. There is something that says Save a Copy. do not use this option. So when you do save a copy, it creates a copy of your EndNote library and your data file. Okay, and we have in the past had people with my EndNote library copy, and it like 10 different copies of their library, and it's makes it really difficult to work with EndNote because it doesn't know which library it's supposed to be using. You get confused because you don't know which one is the current one. So just ignore that option where it says save a copy, ignore it. There is another option further down in that menu, which is compress library, so .enlx. This one, you can, it sort of compresses the EndNote library and the data file into a single folder. And this is one that you can create an email. So you can email it to yourself, or you can save it to a cloud syncing folder because you're not actually going to be using it as your working library. Okay, so just save it somewhere that's not on your computer, to a USB, OneDrive, whatever. You're not actually going to be working on it. It's just there as a backup. So I can just do next. I'm going to create this one. I'm saving it onto my desktop, but don't do that. Don't save it into the same folder as your library because if you lose that, you've lost both of them. But it's good to just say maybe backup in the title. You might want to put the date in so you know when the last time is that you put the that you did the backup. And I'm just going to do save. Now, if I just close some of my windows, so when I do that, I'll just show you here. When I create that compressed library, you'll get something that looks like this. The extension will be .enlx, and there's a little clamp icon that's added to the library icon. So this one, I can save it just somewhere else that's not on my computer. If I didn't, for some reason, need to go and use the backup library, I can just move it onto my computer, double click, and then it will split into the EndNote library and the data file. Okay. So that's one way that you can create a backup of your library just in case something goes wrong. In our guide, the EndNote Essentials guide, there is a Save Your Library page. Sorry, my mouse has gone funny. So that explains how to do the compressed library. There is something else that you can do called library syncing. So you can create an EndNote Online account, and when you do that, you can synchronize the references that are in your desktop library with your EndNote Online account. So this is another way you can do a bit of a backup, but it also means that you can use or access your library on different computers as well. There is a link here that goes to our other guide that takes you through how you can set up the syncing, the library syncing, if you are interested in that. One last thing I wanted to tell you about is where you can get help with EndNote if you do run into issues. We have a troubleshoot issues page in our guide. And if you go there, we've got suggestions of how you can troubleshoot issues. One thing that's we tend to do a lot is just Google. So Google is your friend. If you get error messages or something's not quite working, if you just Google it, a lot of the time other people have had the same issues and they'll have ways of resolving them. And we tend to do that when we when we get asked about any tricky issues that we come across. It's also good to keep your software up to date. So EndNote, if there are sort of updates available, then EndNote, when you sort of open it, will come up with a message saying, hey, there's an update available. It's best if you do download and install that update, just so you're keeping up to date with the software. It's going to fix any bugs and stuff that's happening. It's also good to every now and then restart your computer, because this helps apply system-wide updates that can fix errors with EndNote and Word. There is also an EndNote support website. This is a very comprehensive FAQ database provided by Clarivate, who are the company that provide EndNote. So this has a whole range of articles about how to fix things. I mentioned when you are in Word, if the toolbar isn't there when you install EndNote, there's instructions on this site about how to install it. It's called CWYW, Cite While You Write. So if you have a look at that, there's a lot of information on how to fix it. There you can also get in touch with Clarivate if you've got any questions or issues that you're coming across. A bit further down in our guide on the Troubleshoot Issues page is some common issues that happen with EndNote. So these are things that we commonly get asked about. So issues with downloading and installing, we get quite a bit, but there's all sorts of different things there, so you can have a look and your question may be answered there. Also, just back on the library website, we do have a help link on our website, and if you scroll down, you'll see our help options. You can email libraryhelp@curtin.edu.au, or there's a form there that you can fill in. And if you are having any issues, you can't sort of resolve them, just get in contact with us and we can try and help you out with that. If you're getting error messages or anything like that, if you can provide screenshots, that's really helpful for us, so we don't have to go back and forth too much trying to figure out what the issue is. So we are available if you run into issues and you can't sort of resolve them yourself, you can get in contact with us. That is all that I have to go through today. So hopefully this session has been useful for you. If you have any questions, if you want to pop them into the chat, I think Sheila's been answering some questions, which is great. But otherwise, thank you for joining us for this session, and I will send out the recording probably tomorrow within sort of 2 business days to everybody that's registered. Okay, thanks.